Most people think they know Larson Farms. The tractors still roll at sunrise, the harvest still comes every fall, and on the surface, it looks like nothing has changed. But longtime viewers noticed a shift, a feeling that something behind the camera wasn't the same anymore. The smiles seemed a little heavier, the videos a little different, and once fans started asking questions, the story that emerged was far more emotional than anyone expected. Larson Farms built its reputation on authenticity. Real farming, real family, real life. That's exactly why what happened hit their audience so hard. This wasn't just another channel uploading content. For many viewers, it felt like watching people they genuinely knew. Then suddenly, the timeline of the channel split into a clear before and after. So what actually happened to Larson Farms? Why did one moment reshape everything? And how did they manage to keep going when most people wouldn't? Because the truth behind this story isn't dramatic clickbait. It's real, and it changed the farm forever. What made Larson Farms different from thousands of other farming channels wasn't flashy editing or over-the-top personalities. It was the feeling that you were watching real life unfold without a script. From early mornings in the cab of a tractor to late nights racing the weather, the channel slowly became a digital front-row seat to the realities of modern American farming. Viewers didn't just tune in for equipment or crop updates. They came back because the Larson family felt familiar. At the center of that connection was the balance between hard work and family life. The videos showed the pressure farmers face every season: unpredictable weather, tight planting windows, equipment breakdowns that never seemed to happen at a convenient time. But mixed into all of that were small, grounding moments, laughter in the shop, quick meals between jobs, and the kind of teamwork that only comes from generations working the same land. It created a rhythm people found comforting. And the channel didn't explode overnight. Its growth was steady, powered by viewers who appreciated honesty over hype. While many creators chased drama to stay relevant, Larson Farms leaned into consistency. That reliability built something incredibly rare on the internet: trust. When they uploaded, people believed they were seeing the real story. But trust has an unexpected side effect. The more authentic a creator feels, the more audiences start paying attention to the details. Subtle changes don't go unnoticed. A missing face, a quieter tone, an energy that feels slightly off. Loyal viewers catch those things immediately. Looking back now, some longtime fans say there was a period when the videos felt different, even if no one could quite explain why at the time. Nothing obvious, just a shift you could feel more than see. And that quiet change would soon lead viewers to ask a question no channel ever wants its audience wondering: was something happening behind the scenes? For a long time, Larson Farms felt almost untouched by the chaos that usually follows growing YouTube channels. While other creators dealt with public feuds, burnout, or sudden disappearances, the Larson family stayed grounded in routine. Planting, spraying, harvesting. Season after season, the structure rarely changed. That predictability became part of the channel's identity, and viewers trusted that no matter what was happening in the world, Larson Farms would still be there doing what they'd always done. But toward the end of 2020, something quietly entered the family's life that couldn't be solved with longer workdays or better equipment. Nicole Larson, known by many as Nikki, was suddenly facing a serious health battle. A fundraiser titled Nicole's Road to Recovery appeared online, signaling that the situation was far more than a temporary setback. For many fans, this was the first hint that the family was carrying a weight viewers couldn't fully see from the videos. What made this especially striking was how little the tone of the channel changed at first. The tractors still rolled. Harvest still had to be finished before the weather turned. Farming doesn't pause for personal hardship, and in many ways, neither did the content. If anything, that contrast made the situation feel even heavier. The idea that life must continue even when everything underneath it feels uncertain. Some viewers only learned about the struggle much later, looking back and realizing that while the upload seemed normal, the family was navigating an incredibly difficult chapter behind the scenes. It's a reminder that cameras often capture the work, but not always the worry, and as months passed, hope remained that this was just a storm the family would push through. But then came the moment no one was prepared for, the update that would completely divide the story of Larson Farms into before and after. By the spring of 2021, viewers could feel that the tension behind the channel was no longer just a vague sense of something's off. Even though the uploads continued, the energy felt different. Not dramatic, Not obvious, just quieter. Farming content has a way of masking personal struggles because the work itself demands focus. Crops still needed attention. Equipment still broke down. The schedule still moved forward whether you were ready or not. Behind the scenes, Nicole's health journey had already been long and exhausting. Anyone who's lived through serious medical uncertainty knows how draining it can be. Not just physically, but emotionally. And when that battle stretches on, it reshapes daily life in ways outsiders rarely see. For the Larson family, this wasn't just a personal challenge. It was happening while thousands of people watched their lives unfold online. Then, in late May 2021, everything stopped. Nicole passed away on May 27, 2021, at just 25 years old. The news landed hard. For many viewers, it felt unreal, and so not because it was dramatic, but because it was so sudden compared to what they were used to seeing. One day, the channel felt familiar. The next, nothing would ever feel the same again. What made this moment even heavier was Nicole's role beyond being Chet's wife. She wasn't just off camera. According to her obituary, she helped edit videos for the channel, meaning her presence was woven directly into the content people had been watching for years. In a way, viewers had been interacting with her work without even realizing it. The outpouring of support was immediate. Comments filled with condolences, shared grief, and disbelief. But alongside that support came confusion. People wanted to understand how something like this could happen so quietly, with so few visible signs. And as the dust settled, a new question began to form. Not out of curiosity, but concern. How does a family keep going after a loss that deep, especially when the world is still watching? Loss has a way of freezing time. For a while, everything feels paused, yet somehow the world keeps moving. On a farm, that reality is even harsher. Animals still need care. Fields don't wait. Seasons refuse to slow down for grief. And for the Larson family, the days following Nicole's passing weren't just about processing heartbreak. They were about figuring out how to stand back up when life demanded it. For many viewers, there was an unspoken question hanging in the air. Would the channel go silent? When creators experience something this heavy, stepping away is often the expected path. After all, how do you pick up a camera and talk about crop conditions when your personal world has just been turned upside down? But farming has always been about resilience, showing up even when it's the last thing you feel ready to do. Eventually, the videos continued, not with grand explanations or emotional monologues, but with the same steady focus the channel had always carried. Tractor started, equipment rolled, work got done. Yet longtime viewers noticed something deeper beneath the routine, a quiet strength that hadn't been there before. It wasn't about pretending everything was fine. It was about moving forward because there was no other choice. In many ways, that decision revealed something important about the Larson family. The channel was never just content. It was a reflection of real life. And real life doesn't offer clean breaks between hardship and responsibility. Support from the community remained strong, but so did curiosity. People began paying closer attention than ever, reading into pauses, expressions, even the pacing of the videos. When audiences feel connected, they naturally search for signs that someone is truly okay. But continuing the channel was only one part of the challenge. Because what most people don't realize is that after a loss like this, the hardest moments often come later, when the meals stop. Arriving, the messages slow down and reality fully settles in. And that's when the pressure no one talks about truly begins. As time moved forward, Larson Farms found itself in a position few creators ever prepare for, living through grief while thousands of people quietly observed from the other side of a screen. At first, the support was overwhelming in the best possible way. Messages poured in from viewers across the country, many sharing their own stories of loss and resilience. The comment sections became less about farming and more about compassion. But there's another side to visibility that often goes unspoken. When a channel is built on authenticity, audiences naturally grow attached, and attachment can sometimes blur into expectation. Viewers begin noticing everything: who appears on camera, who doesn't, the tone of someone's voice, even how often a person smiles. Completely normal changes can spark waves of speculation. Some people wondered how the family was managing the workload. Others questioned whether the channel would eventually slow down. A few tried to analyze emotions. From brief moments on screen and something that almost never tells the full story. The reality is, cameras capture minutes of a day, not the private hours where healing actually happens. Still, the farm kept running. Planting seasons came and went. Harvest returned as it always does. And with each upload, it became clear that continuing forward wasn't about maintaining a YouTube presence. It was about protecting a way of life that had existed for generations. Work can become an anchor during uncertain times, giving structure when everything else feels unpredictable. Yet persistence doesn't mean the weight disappears. If anything, moving forward while carrying loss requires a kind of strength most people never see up close. Over time, the tone of the channel settled into something slightly different than before. Not darker, not distant, just marked by experience. Longtime viewers could sense it even if they couldn't define it. And just when it seemed the family had found a new rhythm, another subtle shift began catching people's attention. Because the question was no longer whether Larson Farms would continue. It was how this experience had quietly transformed everything. By this point, Larson Farms wasn't just a farming channel anymore. It had become a story about endurance. The kind that doesn't announce itself loudly, but shows up day after day in the simple act of continuing. And as the season cycled forward, viewers began noticing something reassuring. The farm wasn't fading, it was adapting. Uploads kept appearing, the work never stopped. And little by little, a new normal seemed to take shape. What stood out most was how the channel resisted turning personal hardship into spectacle. There were no drawn-out explanations, no attempts to chase sympathy, no dramatic pivots in content. Instead, the focus stayed where it had always been. On the land, the machinery, the unpredictable nature of farming. That quiet decision earned a deeper level of respect from longtime viewers. It signaled that Larson Farms wasn't defined by tragedy, but by persistence. At the same time, the experience appeared to reshape the way many fans watched. Moments that once felt routine now carried extra meaning. A laugh in the shop, progress during harvest, even the calm stretches between the busiest seasons. People weren't just watching crops grow anymore. They were watching a family prove that forward motion is possible, even after life delivers its hardest chapters. And perhaps that's the part no one talks about enough. Resilience rarely looks dramatic from the outside. More often, it looks like ordinary days stacked on top of each other until, eventually, they form stability again. Today, the channel continues to upload, reminding viewers that while loss can permanently change a story, it doesn't have to end it. The farm is still there, the work is still getting done, and the legacy of generations before them keeps pushing everything onward. But understanding what really happened to Larson Farms isn't just about looking back at the moment that changed them. It's about recognizing what their journey reveals. Because sometimes the most shocking truth isn't the hardship itself, it's the strength it uncovers. If you look at Larson Farms today, you might notice something surprising. The story didn't end where many people assumed it might. In fact, the channel's continued presence says more than any single update ever could. Seasons still change, equipment still heads into the fields at sunrise, and the long days that define farm life haven't slowed down. From the outside, it may resemble the same channel viewers discovered years ago, but those who've watched closely know it carries a deeper layer now. Because once a family walks through a loss like that, there is no going back. There is only forward. What makes Larson Farms compelling today isn't mystery or drama, it's perspective. The challenges of agriculture were always part of the story. Unpredictable weather, financial pressure, narrow timing windows that can make or break a year. But experiences like this tend to sharpen what truly matters. You can sometimes sense it in the way moments are appreciated more, in the steadiness of the work, and in the quiet determination that shows up without needing to be explained. For longtime viewers, the farm has become more than content. It's a reminder of how resilient people can be when life refuses to follow the script. And oddly enough, that may be why the audience remains so loyal. Not out of curiosity anymore, but out of respect. The biggest surprise in all of this isn't that hardship touched the Larson family. It's that they chose to keep building, keep planting, and keep moving ahead where others might have stepped away. So what really happened to Larson Farms? They proved that even after life divides your story into before and after, the future is still yours to grow. And sometimes, the strongest chapters are the ones that come next.